Hey, I'd like to explore a world with you today. This is a world where corporatization has been taken to the extreme, where companies and governments rule over people, one with an iron fist to keep them down, and the other a golden umbrella to keep them unaware of what's going on above them. Where the wealthy and powerful are safe, the common people are afflicted by a strange disease on a scale so devastating that the bodies are left in the street. A world in which conspiracy and reality align. This is Deus Ex. When I was younger, before most purchases were digital, the closest place to buy video games to me was about 30 minutes away. Whenever it was my birthday or Christmas, we'd usually have enough money to go pick up a game or two. And once back in the car, I'd open the case and, full of anticipation, read the game's manual on the drive home. Sometimes at home, I'd even look back through it from time to time at the unique art some of them had, or the descriptions of enemies in the world, a childlike feeling that maybe I'd find something new there. Game manuals are mostly a thing of the past, but Steam includes a Deus Ex manual on the game's page, so I wanted to showcase it real quick. For those that have played Deus Ex a lot, the manual actually points out that you can downgrade your pistol training for more points. It also makes an effort to link the HUD to the game's mechanics and world, an effort that's not often made in games now. As for the game world itself, whenever you start a new game, you can optionally choose to do a training mission, which includes a small amount of backstory. JC is a new type of nano-augmented agent, taken from their parents at birth, trained to obey without hesitation. Loading into the training mission, we can already see the care that was put into the environment despite the game's limited graphics. JC stands on a mirrored floor reflecting the outside sky and the moon, a fitting prelude to the upcoming journey. Soon, many people will look at JC, expecting to see a reflection of themselves, their values and beliefs, their goals. Will JC stay a reflection, always looking through the glass? Or will he be able to break through? The tutorial itself is a mix of instructions and actually doing things in the game world. The mission is set in the game world, with characters we will grow to know from the story. While it is fairly basic most of the time, it does a good job of showing you how the game works, while making an effort to keep some immersion. You can find notes that give you some backstory on the tools you'll employ, and practice with the game's combat system. In Deus Ex, you have to stay still and allow your reticle to grow smaller. As you level up skills in a specific weapon category, their damage, reload, recoil, and accuracy will grow, making the reticle narrow much faster. Later, in training, they ask you to use the skills you've been taught to solve a room. The room has a security bot and various things lying around. For my run, I threw TNT crates at it. One of them clipped into the ground or something. Hopefully the facility can figure that one out.
God! Oh!
Before you finish up, there are some holograms where you get a little world building about friendly and enemy troops, robots, and JC's brother, Paul.
The Coalition's new nano-augmented agents are nearly indistinguishable from the general population, except that you and your brother don't know how to smile, even for a picture.
Sufficiently impressive, an early success for the whole organization.
Thanks. You from the United Nations?
Your augmentations are a go. The real test comes next. Active duty.
I'm ready, sir.
Yes. Yes, you are.
Character creation gives you the option to have a real name in addition to your code name, allows you to select from a few different appearances, and gives you a number of skill points to spend on your starting skills. You start with 5,000 points, and different skills cost more or less points. You can of course also downgrade your pistol skill for extra points. Once you're done, the game begins, and JC becomes a piece in a global game for power.
Your appointment to FEMA should be finalized within the week. I've already discussed the matter with the Senator.
I take it he was agreeable?
He didn't really have a choice.
Has he been infected?
Oh yes, most certainly. When I mentioned that we could put him on the priority list for the ambrosia vaccine, he was so willing it was almost pathetic.
This plague, the rioting is intensifying to the point where we may not be able to contain it.
Why contain it? Let it spill over into the schools and churches. Let the bodies pile up in the streets. In the end, they'll beg us to save them.
I've received reports of armed attacks on shipments. There's not enough vaccine to go around, and the underclasses are starting to get desperate.
Of course they're desperate. They can smell their death, and the sound they'll make rattling their cage will serve as a warning to the rest.
I hope you're not underestimating the problem. The others may not go as quietly as you think. Intelligence indicates they're behind the problems in Paris.
A bunch of pretentious old men playing at running the world. But the world left them behind long ago. We are the future.
We have other problems.
UNATCO?
Formed by executive order after the terrorist strike on the statue. I have someone in place, though. I'm more concerned about Savage. He's relocated to Vandenberg.
Our biochem corpus is far in advance of theirs, as is our electronic sentience. And their ethical inflexibility has allowed us to make progress in areas they refuse to consider.
The augmentation project?
Among other things, but I must admit that I have been somewhat disappointed in the performance of the primary unit.
The secondary unit should be online soon. It's currently undergoing preparation and will be operational within 6 months. My people will continue to report on its progress. If necessary, the primary will be terminated.
We've had to endure much, you and I, but soon there will be order again. A new age. Aquinas spoke of the mythical city on the hill. Soon that city will be a reality, and we will be crowned its kings. Not better than kings. Gods.
JC arrives at Liberty Island in the year 2052, the home base of UNATCO, currently under siege by NSF forces. The head and torch had been bombed the previous year, now housed around the statue. The state of the statue reflects many people's perspective on the state of the country, previously a symbol to freedom, but now with no thought or guiding light. JC's brother Paul is here at the docks to meet him, and a corporal informs JC that another agent has been captured.
Paul, I thought you were in Hong Kong. Welcome to the Coalition, JC. I might as well start using your code name. Think I'd miss my brother's first day? Didn't think you'd have a choice. What's going on? The NSF. They hit one of our shipments. A few of them got away, but we trapped the rest in the statue. What are we waiting for? Looks like a textbook assault. The NSF took one of our agents hostage. The bots are holding the perimeter, but my orders are to hold back and send you in alone. I think someone high up wants to see how you handle the situation.
All I've got with me is a pistol and an electric prod. I don't mind a test, but UNATCO better issue some hardware.
Remember that we're police. Stick with the prod. It'll stun your opponents or knock them unconscious. A non-lethal takedown is always the most silent way to eliminate resistance. Just in case, though, Manderley wants you to pick an additional weapon. A sniper rifle, a GEP gun, or a mini crossbow.
Never know when I might come up against some heavy armor. Give me the GEP gun.
The GEP gun might be useful. They have a security bot on patrol near the statue entrance.
Great. What's the first move?
I'm going to give you a map of the island. If you can get to the North Dock, a UNATCO informant will give you a key to the statue doors. He responds to the code phrase, iron and copper. You could avoid a lot of fighting, though, if you found a back way to the statue.
I'll see how it looks on shore.
Your primary objective is the makeshift command center the terrorists have installed at the top of the statue. But don't forget about Agent Herman. We think he's being held on the ground floor.
What are my orders when I reach the command center?
Interrogate the leader. We don't yet know why the terrorists would risk an open assault.
You just gonna stay here?
There's been some activity at sea. I'm going to watch the coast. Why'd they bring you back to New York? I don't know what they have planned. I messed up an assassination attempt on one of the Triad leaders in Hong Kong. UNATCO pulled you out. It's a long story. You better head to the statue. Which Triad was UNATCO targeting? We'll talk about that later. How was your graduation? I want to hear what happened. I wish I could have come. At the time, I could have cared less that Mom and Dad came to mine, but it was a good thing. The UN threw a dinner in honor of me, the first nano-augmented agent. I didn't know that. Guess I must be old news. Dad made a toast. I don't know if you remember his old brown suit. A toast? That doesn't sound like our father. It was hard for him in front of the diplomats, but he savored every moment. Strange how proud he could be when so much was due to our augmentations. Yes, he was proud. I believe that much. It was nice to have done something for him and Mom. I wish someone could have been there for you. I'm used to being on my own. One can be too self-sufficient, I'm coming to believe. What's your take on the situation, Corporal?
The bots have them bottled up, sir. We'd go right in if it weren't for the whole back order.
How'd they get one of our agents?
Gunter went rogue on us. When the order came, he wouldn't pull back. Now you get to bail him out.
JC still believes UNATCO to be a police and peacekeeping organization at heart, and often a more subtle approach is needed. Stealth is a little rough sometimes, but if you crouch and sneak up behind someone, you can hit them for a large damage bonus. Enemies take 10 times damage from being hit from behind at point blank. If you stun an enemy, then they will take 4 times damage from the next hit. In general combat, enemies take 8 times damage to the head and 2 times to specific body parts. The music is adaptive, and the same theme has different versions depending on if you are exploring, having a conversation, engaged in combat, or if JC dies. As we sneak closer to the NSF forces, sometimes they can be heard having conversations. The NSF seem to be a ragtag group from diverse backgrounds and with differing ideology. They often disagree, but seem to be united by believing their cause is just.
That's the difference right there. Just take a look at him.
Bad?
They cut off his arm, replaced half his face.
Herman, right? He's a good soldier. Killed 3 of our men.
They'd have replaced his whole body if it would have improved performance. If that's how you judge a man, by performance, then eventually it's not about people, but upgrades, versions, functionality.
All I know is we could use a few mechs for ops like this.
As soon as we buy into the cult of the machine, we're just like them.
Rhetoric. Always more rhetoric.
Did they find the shipment?
Yeah, we got the whole supply. You can see the ship's lights crossing the bay.
Guess y'all were right. So why aren't we pulling out?
Mike's on the horn. Jojo wants a lead on the distribution network.
Hell, we don't have enough men to protect what we've got.
That's what Jojo wants.
I wonder, how does a guy with a tattooed forehead get to be an NSF colonel? Pardon me, but back in Alabama, we wouldn't let a man who wears earrings plan a military operation.
I'd watch what I say about Jojo. He's got a temper.
He's a punk and he's gonna get us all killed.
The NSF is strong because it represents everyone's interests.
Yeah.
There's a lot of attention to detail when it comes to the enemies and the way damage to the body works in the game. Enemies won't just shoot through each other on purpose, though they can, on accident, and damage to body parts has real effects. Here, an enemy flees for their life, but not until after gravely wounding both of JC's legs. Taking severe damage to one leg lowers your speed. 2 makes you crawl. Severe damage to arms lowers your accuracy, and severe damage to the torso or head is fatal. Inside of the health menu, the HP of different body parts can be seen. You can use medkits on their own, or on specific body parts. There are also medical bots which heal a large amount of health. They have a cooldown after use, but it's only a minute, and the bots can be used many times. I showed off throwing explosive crates during the tutorial section, but here we found a locked crate which can be blown open. This also applies to weak doors, and can save you lockpicks. Also, this guy just sprinted up to where I threw that crate. Not sure if that's the same guy that got away earlier because I had to crawl, but that was a surprise. The game often rewards you for creative solutions to problems, such as this ship, where there's a locked door underwater leading to some items. By floating an explosive crate above it and detonating it, the door can be opened without using lockpicks. Deus Ex is an immersive sim, a term that many people argue over the strict definition of or what games really count as one. For me, an immersive sim is a game where you are presented with a highly interactable world, and when problems are presented, the player can solve them in a variety of ways. You are given both a world and a set of gameplay mechanics that promote player freedom and inventiveness. This often leads to the player being more immersed in the game and world, hence the name.
About time you showed up. Iron and copper. The statue's copper on an iron frame, right?
Password's enough, pal. Don't think you know something about the lady I don't. My dad did tours out here.
I heard that you can get inside.
Depends. You get your man out, take back the statue, whatever. But I know the commander and I don't want to see him get hurt. Here's a picture so you don't make a mistake.
You can trust me.
I'll take your word. Here's the key to the front entrance. Commander's not much of a soldier. He'll surrender as soon as he sees you. I need him alive because he's my main contact at the NSF. If he's dead, I don't have much of a business.
Thanks. How do you know so much about the commander?
He's my main contact in the NSF. I need him alive and out on bail.
UNATCO will probably keep him in custody.
At least he has a chance if he's alive. I warned him, you know. I said right to his face, don't take weapons into the lady. That makes you as bad as UNATCO.
Don't forget, it was the NSF that C4'd the statue in the first place. UNATCO's here to put the pieces back together.
Ask me, I think the government did it. They want people to think the NSF are terrorists.
You with Philbin?
I get a cut for bringing him over.
Tell me what you know about the NSF operation.
I'm not that high level. The more elite troops, they're the ones that took over the ship and unloaded it into speedboats. I think we're supposed to be a diversion.
Ship?
That's all I know. The commander gave me a 10mm clip, a box of 30-06 ammo, and some crossbow darts and said, keep your head down. Like I'm gonna take on UNATCO troops. Want 'em? You can have the clip for 175, the 30-06 for 300, and the darts for 50. But if I was you, I'd avoid a head-on attack altogether and not even use the key Philbin got. I'd go in the statue from the back. Less security that way.
I'll give you 50 for the darts.
The commander's the whole reason my neighborhood turned into a war zone. Somebody should stick him full of these things like a roast pig.
When you speak to Harley Philbin, he asks that you keep the commander alive, though we don't know whether it's personal or just for practical reasons. When you buy some darts from the lady in the corner, she wants a different fate for the commander. This is a small interaction, but the game is already presenting different ideas and options even this early. JC will have to navigate the ideals and objectives of everyone around him to find the path he wants to walk.
UNATCO command made us pull back, I guess for Gunther's sake. What's the deal? We're ready to go in.
We're taking a minimum force approach. We're cops after all.
Ask me. I think we should frag them all. You trespass on UNATCO property, you get pumped full of lead.
When due process fails us, we really do live in a world of terror.
Thought you nanowogs were supposed to be badass killing machines. Guess I was wrong.
Guess so.
The UNATCO troopers seem to be almost too eager to gun down the NSF forces, as opposed to non-lethal methods. JC protests this, but it's easy to see both sides for now, as the NSF did perform an armed violent takeover and the troopers are just normal humans without augmentations. Of course, a non-lethal solution would be better, if possible, but is it worth the risk? There are a few ways to get into the statue. The front doors can be opened with the key from Philbin, or opened with a computer terminal outside. You can also climb crates and storage containers to enter it from halfway up. There's even a small hole in the wall of the lobby if you wanted to stack a bunch of things up and climb up to it. This theme of multiple ways to infiltrate an area will continue throughout the whole game. As you progress in the game, you find data cubes and notes left around. Have conversations with characters and interact with the world. Notes you find are stored in their own screen, and you can even write your own notes. Conversations you have are logged in their screen in case you need to review something that was said again. Images are usually important places, objects, people, or maps, and you can add notes to these too. Logs keeps track of your direct interactions with the world. Cameras are placed frequently throughout the levels of the game. They will sound a warning if they detect you, but if line of sight is broken fast enough, they won't set off an alarm. Cameras don't detect the bodies of enemies, and sometimes turrets are connected to a camera as well. They will fire at you if an alarm is set off. Here, JC is able to find Gunther and free him.
Glad you're not hurt, Agent.
Command should not have left us to be surrounded.
Risk is part of the job. I think you lucked out this time.
Agent Navarra and I were ready to go in, but for no reason they said pull back. I do not retreat. Please give me a weapon and move out of the way.
As you wish. Take my pistol.
That will be adequate. I will secure this level. You proceed up the stairs to the command center at the top.
Gunther, like the UNATCO troopers, seems to be not only willing, but eager to violently engage the NSF. Defending the base is important, but is this bloodthirst a problem? Or is it a vital part of an agency like this where force is sometimes necessary? Police and military sometimes have to be ready to respond to violence or initiate it suddenly. Do they need to keep an aggressive attitude towards violence to be able to do this? Or can violence stay a regrettable necessity? Either way, JC has already taken care of all the NSF in this area by the time Gunther is freed, so giving him a pistol should be safe. The inventory system in the game works on a classic grid system, where different objects can take up a varying number of squares. You also have a hotbar where you can assign things you need quick access to. Some things, like consumables, can be used from the inventory itself. Enemies have weapons on them, and you have to pick these up before you can move the body, so a consistent problem you may run into is having a bunch of pistols or knives to drop. I'm just gonna leave this pile of dangerous objects in front of some benches by the Statue of Liberty. It's probably fine. Speaking of the statue, now that Gunther is free, it's time to pay a visit to the commander, who's holed up at the top of the structure. JC's orders are to shoot on sight. They have been this whole night, though so far he's been able to non-lethally dispatch the NSF forces. What kind of a man would the commander be? Would he be as violent as UNATCO claims? Fight JC like a caged animal? It was time to find out.
Don't shoot. I surrender.
So you think you know better than FEMA what to do with this month's ambrosia shipment?
You're too late. It's on its way back to the people, and you can't do a damn thing about it.
Tell me about the shipment, and I'll order the troops to pick you up as a prisoner instead of a corpse.
Ask away. We already won this round.
Where are you taking it?
We're just giving ordinary people the same chance to survive as the bureaucrats in Washington.
You'll have to unload in New York because the choppers would spot you at sea.
I think the government made the plague on purpose to get rid of the population growth.
Well done. I will pass on your orders to the troopers. Report back to base on the west side of the island. Mission complete.
Just answer the question.
Don't believe me? It's all in the numbers. For 100 years, there's been a conspiracy of plutocrats against ordinary people.
Do you have a single fact to back that up?
Number one, in 1945, corporations paid 50% of federal taxes. Now they pay about 5%. Number two, in 1900, 90% of Americans were self-employed. Now it's about 2%.
So?
It's called consolidation. Strengthen governments and corporations, weaken individuals. With taxes, this can be done imperceptibly over time.
I'll take it from here.
I guarantee you that the interrogation staff at UNATCO will not be as forbearing as I am.
Yeah, the secret police. You're just bullies for a completely illegitimate government in Washington.
We will locate that shipment one way or another.
The entire executive branch is handpicked. 19 of the last 23 U.S. presidents have been members of the Trilateral Commission. The Trilateral Commission is financed by the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds. Don't tell me.
That's a think tank. Anyone can become a member.
But not everyone does. That's why they call it the secret government.
Good work, Agent.
You can't fight ideas with bullets. Did you ever ask what it's for? The surveillance, the police, the shoot-on-sight laws. Is that freedom?
We're gonna lock this guy away for a long time.
UNATCO teaches teenagers to fight when it still seems like a game. And look at you. You're a killing machine. Who's the scary one, huh? Me or you?
The commander was surprisingly eloquent and did not attack JC on sight. Unfortunately, it's not unusual for people who do bad things to be charismatic, but JC had this same nagging feeling in the back of his mind that he'd had for years now. The objective was complete. Time to head back to UNATCO to report in.
We've got the island secured. How did things look in the statue? The leader surrendered. So they were after Ambrosia. A month's supply for the East Coast. We think they've taken it back to the city. I didn't know UNATCO handled the Ambrosia distribution. Manderley will brief us shortly. UNATCO makes sure the limited supply of vaccine gets to government agencies and key industries. It's good to finally see some action. Just keep a level head. You're doing well so far. Now get inside. I'll meet you in Manderley's office, level 2.
NPCs react to the things you do around them. For example, here's eating this guard's candy bar and downing his half-finished soda right in front of him.
Way to go, sir. I thought Gunther was a goner.
I don't understand. What are you doing?
Exploring the ladies' restroom will also result in a reprimand from this cigarette-addicted woman. Exploring the headquarters, we find several books and newspapers about UNATCO procedures in the world outside. UNATCO protocols enforce obedience without hesitation, and secrecy above all else. When the UNATCO handbook is describing how to avoid collateral damage, it specifies not to shoot into large crowds of civilians. Maybe that's just bad wording and I'm overthinking it, but it makes me worry about the organization's priorities. Speaking of the organization itself, UNATCO is actually an international policing group. Supposedly a small and neutral agency, but still with power in many places around the world, and their jurisdiction continues to grow. The idea of a world police is a scary one. One newspaper discusses that the number of dead due to the disease called Gray Death are so high that bodies are just being left in the street, and a park is being turned into a mass grave. Another notable story is from a newspaper that states a high school junior that would be around 16 to 17 years old mentioned knowing how to make a bomb during a discussion at school, and is now being sent to a state-run FBI good behavior camp over it. The previous year saw over 15,000 such cases, the camps being leftovers from the Northwest War, the conflict from which the NSF derives its name. Now it was time for JC to see Manderley and the other UNATCO personnel.
Good work out there, Mr. Denton. Mr. Manderley said you handled yourself nicely. Welcome to UNATCO HQ. Our little family keeps getting bigger.
Is Mr. Manderley available?
Yes, go right in. By the way, your computer account is ready. Log in JCD, password Bionic Man.
Alex already told me. Thanks. Reporting for duty, sir.
The man himself. Splendid. Do you accept my apologies about the situation topside?
A refreshing change from the academy, sir.
Don't despise training, my boy. Even you would be worthless without the shaping touch of drills and studies.
So the NSF took a shipment of the Ambrosia vaccine? Give me a chopper and a pilot and I'll handle it.
I'm sure you could. Yes, indeed. But we're having your brother head up the recovery team. You'll work with Agent Ana Navarra. Why don't we meet when you've seen Jaime for a medical checkup and received your equipment from Sam Carter? You'll be briefed at that time.
Yes, sir.
After a short report with Manderley, JC heads down to see Sam Carter, who's in charge of UNATCO's armory. Carter was previously a general, now a tired-eyed man, but his gaze and stance remain like stone, and his views on the world are just as grounded.
At ease, Agent Denton.
General Carter, I read about the Merced operation in school. This is a great honor.
I'm not a general anymore. Just call me Carter.
I can't believe what the NSF did to your family.
Enough of that, soldier. We each have our troubles. I lost my children, but you've had to grow up without your parents, which requires more courage. I don't think it matters.
My parents died in a car accident. That's different.
I said that's enough. You have your own op and time is short. How about I issue you a stealth pistol?
That sounds fine. Thank you, sir.
What else do you think you'll need?
A smart lockpick is always handy.
That's right. Infiltrate and evade. Engage only on your own terms. Now move out. Manderley's waiting.
Hey, what about that guy out front selling munitions? Is that allowed?
Oh, Kaplan, right. We've got some screwballs around here, but he's not the problem. It's whoever's been breaking into the armory.
Someone at UNATCO's a thief?
Yes, sir. And a damn good one.
Next up is Alex, who helps direct JC on missions.
This thing is starting to give me a headache.
Don't worry, we shut it down when you go off duty.
I guess I'll get used to it.
I'm Alex Jacobson, communications engineer.
I suppose you already know who I am.
Getting there. You're certainly quicker on the uptake than your brother Paul ever was.
Thanks.
Alex is in charge of communications and is in JC's ear frequently through his info link, giving objectives, updates, and context for situations. He acts as a relay for information to pass from JC to UNATCO and vice versa. The next person JC would need to meet with was the doctor, Jaime.
Hey, JC.
You look like the real thing. They actually let you operate on people?
Just fixed Gunther's knee, in fact. A sticky actuator. So far, I feel more like a mechanic than a doctor.
I'm impressed.
They actually let you point a gun at people.
We'll have to catch up later. I've got to leave for New York right away. Could you send Manderley whatever it is he wants?
No problem. Listen, JC, about your augmentations. You know they're preparing to roll out the technology worldwide, right?
As long as I don't turn green and grow a pair of antennas, as I understand it.
Yeah, well, the design's pretty modular, which means you'll soon have access to upgrades from standard augmentation canisters.
I think I picked one of those up at the top of the statue.
Maybe you did. My order from VersaLife was on the ship the NSF captured. You'll need to take it to one of the medbas for installation.
I'll do that.
The canisters contain a colloid of ROM modules. Some are generic upgrades, others require you to make permanent choices about how to configure one of your subsystems.
It's about time they implemented some of this stuff.
Have you met your partner yet, Ana Navarra? I think she and Gunther are upstairs in the break room.
Haven't run into her.
A real piece of work. Maybe you should compare notes before the operation. You never know. She might go easier on you.
Sure, maybe I'll introduce myself.
Then report to Manderley. He told me to send you back to him on the double.
One more thing before I go, since you've been briefed on my augmentations. What can you tell me about the info link?
Let's see. Micro-receiver exostructure in the sulci, mechanocarbon threads on the axons. For queuing, you know, packet routing. Anything particularly interest you?
Is there a way to turn it off?
The info link?
Yeah, or someone at UNATCO tuned in 24 hours?
These might sound a little funny, JC, but I'm not permitted to answer that question.
Your clearance is higher than mine?
Regarding your systems, I am your physician.
No big deal. I was just curious.
Jaime Reyes has been working with JC for a long time, with augmentations and with training. He's an honest man, though it does strike JC as odd that information on his info link is restricted from him. Was someone at UNATCO truly listening in all the time? While in the med lab, JC can use the med bot for augmentation work. JC's body has modular slots for new augmentations, but these changes are permanent. Some augmentations will be mutually exclusive, and so choices have to be made between them. A medical bot is needed to install augmentations, and there's a good number of them in the game. On the way back to see Manderley for our next briefing, we meet Gunther and our new partner, Anna.
Are you sure you pressed the right button?
I do not make mistakes of that kind.
Your hand might have slipped.
No, I wanted orange. It gave me lemon lime.
The machine would not make a mistake.
It's the maintenance man. He knows I like orange.
So you think the staff has some kind of plot?
Yes, they do that on purpose.
My new partner, J.C. Denton. Don't tell me you're going to wear those sunglasses during a night operation.
My vision is augmented.
At least it is a way that we know when it's not Paul.
Forgive my interruption. I just wanted to say that I look forward to working with you, Agent Navarra. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got to be briefed by Mr. Manderley.
I do not expect you to perform as well as Agent Herman, but the mission will require us to do more than frighten the NSF with our baggy coats that make us look bigger than we really are.
I am prepared to perform my duties.
He will not be the equivalent of his brother. I have seen that he knows the procedure of a good offensive.
Let us hope you are right.
I won't let you down, Agent.
They're waiting for you, Agent. Go on in.
That will be JC's job.
What's that? Power station. The NSF have Ambrosia in a warehouse protected by cameras and booby traps. We want to power down the whole system.
We're taking one illicit generating plant, protected by weak groups of NSF. Knock out that plant, and Paul's team can walk right into the warehouse.
Just tell me where it is. The NSF are openly resisting our deployed forces, gradually falling back. You'll have to deal with them first.
And you be ready, Paul. When the power drops, go in and go in hard.
I'll use my discretion.
Go in like the U.S. Marshals. We lose the vaccine, I'm sending your butt to the mayor to explain why he and his 3 daughters won't get their pills this month.
Yes, sir. Let's not waste any time, JC. Get down to the dock. A boat is waiting to take you and your partner, Anna Navarra, to shore.
Yes, get moving. Here's your op bonus for the great job you did in the statue, plus 250 for rescuing Agent Herman. That's 1,250. We take care of our people around here.
Thank you, sir.
By the way, Denton, stay out of the ladies' restroom. That kind of activity embarrasses the agency more than it does you.
We'll meet up in the city.
With Paul and JC both having their respective missions, it's finally time to depart Liberty Island in pursuit of the stolen Ambrosia and to shut down an NSF power generator. We leave by boat on the same docks where the night started.
Let's head out.